This is the Grandland X, the largest of 3 SUVs the brand currently sells, and well, like many other SUVs out there, it's not totally original because underneath it's pretty much mechanically identical to the Peugeot 3008, but there's also a lot that sets it apart from the 3008, like its design. I mean, when I drove the 3008, I think I said its exterior looked like a chiseled concept-like shell, but the Grandland X isn't quite the same. I mean, it's not what I'd call boring, but it's not what I'd call exciting either. Anyway, today we've got the plug-in hybrid version, which is likely to intrigue company car drivers. So let's take a look. Now, firstly, I just want to mention that it is very easy to climb in and out of the Grandland X, thanks to these low seats and nice wide opening doors. Always a good thing. And once you get in here, it's clear that Vauxhall has borrowed this interior from its Astra and Insignia models, which has its pros and its cons. Now, I like the zero faff, clean, stripped back design of this. I mean, you've got this 8-inch touchscreen that houses all your main features, and then below you've got the practicality of having actual physical climate control buttons. But this system's just not very intuitive. And I don't like the fact that there's not one dedicated main menu. You've just got them, all the features basically split between these buttons down here. Might work for some, but not really my thing. In fact, I actually like the old IntelliLink system better. It's a bit laggy, this system, as well. There are a few cabin features to help spruce up the modernity factor though. You've got wireless phone charging, which is cool. You've also got this nice instrument cluster behind the steering wheel. It's just no Peugeot-like cockpit. Now, the trims in the Grandland X are a bit confusing, and honestly, if you want a better understanding of it, you're better just printing off a spec sheet and going through it with a highlighter. However, if you are a company car driver, I beg you, look at this business edition nav trim that we've got, because it offers a nice little loophole kit-wise. Basically, the kit in this model is comparable to the SRI nav trim, which is considerably pricier. So you get a lower price tag and a lower BAK tax, as well as loads of kit thrown in. So it's a no-brainer. Anyway, aside to kit, practicality in the cabin is okay. I mean, for every convenient cubby you get, like these two in the center here, you get some pretty naff ones thrown in as well, like these pretty useless door bins and pretty disappointing glove box, but that's pretty much par for the course when it comes to compact SUVs. Now, the doors in the rear don't open quite as wide as those in the front, so when it comes to getting the baby seat in and out, I have been struggling a little bit, but thankfully the seats are still quite low, so climbing in and out yourself is really easy to do. And once you're back here, it's lovely all round. I mean, there's plenty of leg room, there's loads of headroom thanks to this concave roof, and with the armrest on the door and this solid armrest in the center, which has 2 cup holders, getting comfy and gazing out the window is very easy to do. You will have to shift these headrests up to get comfy though, and once they are up, they do cause a bit of an issue when it comes to visibility and practicality when folding the seats down, but we'll come to that in a minute. Now, moving about back here is really easy to do thanks to the relatively flat floor. However, when you're sitting in the middle, you will have to move your feet side to side a bit like Charlie Chaplin, because this center console does stick out quite a bit, and you do struggle for elbow room a bit in the center as well, so probably best reserved for kids. Actually, forgot to mention, there is a 3-pin socket here, which is always a good addition to it. In fact, they've actually left the plastic on there. Nothing like that. Now, before I actually open the boot, I just want to say how impressed I've been by how little distance you have to leave behind the car to actually open this boot. Now, it's quite a large tailgate, but we'll show you in this cutaway. You only need to leave about a foot or so between your house or another car to actually open it, which is really handy. Anyway, to open the boot, we've got a powered tailgate, which means you can wave your foot under like that. Always handy when you've got shopping bags. And on paper, the boot may not be massive. I mean, there's 390 litres of space with the seats up and 1,528 litres with the seats down, but you still get a nice square loading bed, which is always convenient, and there's only a very small load lip to contend with. Now, you can fold those seats down from the rear seats, or you can use these handles in the back, and they fold down rapidly, as you can see. However, those headrests I mentioned earlier, if you've adjusted them, and you probably have, end up stopping the seats from going down. And to be honest, once the seats are down, they don't really fold that flat either. Now, overall, the boot is okay, but you don't get the likes of underfloor storage, not helped by the fact that it's a hybrid, and you don't get a sliding rear bench for extra versatility either. Right, so let's get the company car driver facts and figures out the way first, shall we? Now, the two-wheel drive plug-in hybrid model we're driving has a total output of 225 horsepower. Now, that utilises a 1.6 litre petrol engine as well as one electric motor, as opposed to the all-wheel drive hybrid that has two electric motors. Now, thanks to a low recorded CO2 of just 32 grams per kilometre, you're looking at a very, very low BIK tax rate of just 10% for 2020 and 2021. And that means very low monthly payments. But what's the hybrid like to drive? Well, I love it. I mean, the 8-speed automatic gearbox is incredibly smooth shifting, even under harsh acceleration. The switch from electric to petrol power is seamless, and generally it's just really comfortable on the road, especially at motorway speeds. It's very, very quiet. I mean, yes, you do get a bit of wind whistle from those large wing mirrors, and visibility out that back window, as I mentioned earlier, isn't great, and it can be a bit fidgety over dodgy tarmac, but overall it is a very serene drive. The steering does take a bit of getting used to. It is on the lighter side, but you get used to it very quickly. And to be honest, any of the flaws I've just mentioned, I don't really care about, because ultimately this is going to be an A to B cruiser and probably double up as a family car on the weekends, and in that respect it's absolutely spot on. Now, a few details on the all-electric range. Vauxhall reckons you get about 35 miles on a full charge, depending on how you drive, of course. And when flat, they think the battery will take about an hour and 45 to charge, provided you use a wall box charger. If you use a standard 3-pin socket at home, that time increases to about 3.5 to 4 hours. Now, something that's definitely worth keeping an eye on is any facelift updates with the Peugeot 3008, the likes of enhanced kit or enhanced capability when it comes to hybrid electric features, because ultimately those features will be carried across to the Grandland X, albeit at a slightly later date. So what's our verdict on the Grandland X? Well, it's so tough reviewing cars like this, mainly because the market segment it belongs to is so oversaturated. And if it's not class leading, then what is it? Well, the Grandland X isn't class leading, but what it is an attractive offering, particularly for those who are after something a bit more understated and not French, or at least something that doesn't have a French badge. I guess the Grandland X is a bit like a BLT sandwich, stay with me. It's not the most exciting thing on the menu, but it is a solid offering. Add its compelling business edition nav model to the mix, and suddenly you get a money-saving offering that's giving you loads of added extras for no extra cost. So it's a bit like a BLT meal deal then, provided you choose the right options. All right, there's easier ways to say it, but there you go.